We're going to be talking about Scottie Scheffler. Yes, the amazing Scottie Scheffler. Jump into a phone booth, come out with the Superman costume on. He gets it done at the Tour Championship. And how do we sort the season that has been Scottie Scheffler? And not only Scottie's comments, he told us on Sunday that he's absolutely exhausted, but the other players as well, and what this, call it a modern era or current era, probably more accurate, because there seems to be efforts being made to redefine what the eras will be moving forward. Don't know, but at least the current era that we have, what he has accomplished as a golfer in terms of revenue that he earned this year, whether you call it official money or bonus money, regardless, it is absolutely remarkable. And then, as I mentioned, you will hear more from Colin. You'll hear more about the cost of honesty from Sahith, more from the United States Ryder Cup captain. Would he be a player for the U.S. President's Cup team? You'll hear less from Rory, and Jordan and Ludwig go under the knife. We're going to have that story coming up for you as well. Later in the show, too, we're going to be joined by a player that was winner this year on the PGA Tour and amongst the top 30 at Eastlake. Thoughts about everything that's going on in the world of golf. As to what's going on with Scottie Scheffler, it has been absolutely remarkable. Andrew, pull that graphic you had back up there again, because even talking about what he has accomplished is mind-blowing. Look at it in 2024. 7 PGA Tour victories to his credit. Now, bear in mind, you'll see 4 or 5 lines down, Olympic gold medalist in Paris. That's not counted in the 7. He spoke about that last Sunday, saying, well, why not? But anyway, man, it's 7 official PGA Tour wins, 2024 Masters champion, 2024 Players champion, 2024 FedEx Cup champion now minted. As we mentioned, gold medalist. He is on the United States President's Cup team. 16 top 10 finishes. Lowest actual scoring average, get this, in PGA Tour history at 68. It's 68.0 for those of you that like to carry out the decimals. Total earnings, this is what I was getting at. And this is made up of official earnings and bonus earnings. $62,228,357. So if you put that into perspective for a second, that amount of money, we're talking about golfers now. And for years, we've had the conversation here on the Fairways of Life show where I've asked the question of you, compared to other sports, are golfers undercompensated? Compared to other sports, right? It wasn't that many years ago that the top golfer, this is before the bonus kicks in, you're talking somewhere around 3 million, 5 million, 7 million-ish, right? Then the FedEx Cup bonus would kick in. On top of that, of course, the bonus is huge now. It's 25 million. So Scottie Scheffler's number, that's 62 million and change that we were just referencing, is second only to Shohei Ohtani. If you took his contract, which is $700 million, and averaged it by the years, I know people out there be going like, what are you talking about? That's not how he's getting compensated. He's getting a little on the front side and a lot in the back. He's still guaranteed. If you averaged it by his contract, it's $70 million. That would mean that for U.S. sports, Scottie Scheffler's $62 million and change is second only to Ohtani. Think about that for a second. Dom just said in my headset, he's kicking in on it. He says he's above all of the NFL quarterbacks in their average. Now, the difference is, of course, these guys have contracts where they get this. Scottie had to earn it this year, but it still speaks to the significance of it. Now, when you get outside of that and go, wait a minute, what about the international soccer players? Cristiano Ronaldo is getting what? $200 million a year, Dom, playing in Saudi Arabia. So there still is. There's always a relative. There's always somebody bigger in the room. But what he has accomplished is absolutely remarkable. So, Dom, I mentioned that you were just chatting to me in my earpiece. When we look at Scottie Scheffler, in terms of the tops in categories of performance. Because ultimately, when you talk about it in terms of, and it's interesting because normally when you look at most sports aren't crazy about talking about money. They want to focus on performance, et cetera, et cetera. And golf is probably the leader in such an emotion. But this is so staggering that this figure is everywhere. Remember how the money list was moved to FedEx Cup points and all that jazz that goes into it. But $62 million and change is so staggering that it's a number that everybody's talking about. Now, how do you get there? What are the building blocks to doing that? You have to have exceptional performance. So, Dom, take us through. You tell me either number one or tops amongst the top leaders in categories of performance just this season for Scottie Scheffler.
I mean, I'll try. He's first in everything. Feel free to cut me off, Matt.
All right.
Feel free to cut me off. He is first in strokes gained total, first in strokes gained tee to the green, first in strokes gained approach. He's first in distance from edge of the fairway. He's first in greens of regulation. He's first in approaches 150 to 175. He's first in approaches 50 to 125. He's first in approaches 100 to 125. He's first in approaches from inside 100 yards. He's first, I should say he was, because the season is now officially over. He's first in putting average, which is interesting. He's first in scoring average adjusted, scoring average actual, which we just talked about, record breaking there. First in birdie average, first in par breakers, first in par 4 birdie or better leaders, first in birdie or better percentage, first in round 1 scoring average, first in round 2 scoring average, first in par 4 scoring average, first in par 5 scoring average. I'm going to pass out. Front 9 scoring average, back 9 scoring average, late scoring average, year-to-date par or better streak, 42. That's crazy. 42. That's so many. Let's see, what else? And I, for the record, I skipped a lot of top fives. So he was second and third and fourth in like all the other categories I didn't read. So that's just insane, which leads me to the question of the day, centered very much around this and his incredible season. The question is over under, Matt. Can Scottie Scheffler win 7 events again next year? Over under, yes or no?
Are you taking over or under then? How to answer your own question?
I'm taking under. I don't think you can. I think that to keep this pace up is not impossible, but close to impossible. The only thing we have to compare it to realistically is Tiger Woods, who obviously did it multiple times, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, and we're putting some stuff together next week for that too. But I'm just saying that to keep this up at this pace, I don't know, Matt. I'm going to go with under. What about you?
No, I believe they can do it. I believe that he's obviously shown us with what you just ran through. And one stat you didn't mention in particular is his strokes gained putting, which last time I looked at it, he was 69th in strokes gained putting. Right?
That's correct.
Which is
69th. But it was positive. It was .095, so .01 shots. So it was a positive strokes gained putting.
Right, which is remarkable for Scottie using the new putter and all the rest. Because remember, he still went through his stretches where he had some putts that he was putting really well. One of the stretches that I'm thinking about in particular is at the Open, because I was assigned to him doing the play-by-play at Royal Troon, and I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 rounds that I was with Scottie, and he couldn't get a putt to drop. He just couldn't get a putt to drop. And then you look at the performance that he had. Look at what he had. I mean, it's kind of funny because I was going to go back to the PGA Championship, and that was after he got arrested. You think about the season. I mean, seriously, you think about the season that he had this year. Major champion again, wins a gold medal, first-time father, first time getting arrested, the best season that we have seen in terms of wins on tour since what, 2008? For Scottie Scheffler, and the last one that he's being compared to there, of course, is Tiger Woods. It's Tiger and Vijay. It's Tiger and Vijay that are at the tops of that list. Andrew, you have that we put together before we went on the air, because I think it deserves being illustrated, not necessarily to show simply of where he stands relative to Tiger and Vijay, which is still pertinent. Both of them with 9 during that incredible run during the early 2000s where they were going head-to-head against each other. But Tiger won 8 in 99. Tiger won 8 in 06 and 7 in 07 before you see where Scottie's tied with him from 24, which just speaks to how incredible and how fortunate we've been over watching some great golf played over the last couple of decades. But I guess what I'm saying is for Scottie Scheffler at his age, with the tumultuous season that he had outside of what he accomplished in all those categories, Dom, and someone could say, well, how do you know life's not going to be tumultuous moving forward? All I'm saying is I don't know if you can combine all the things that he did in 2024 reasonably and go, okay, he's going to be facing all these things again. He can't in terms of Olympics. It's not going to be happening next year and more. So you're going to be hearing from Scottie as we talk about this incredible year that he had, which, by the way, if you want to vote on Dom's question of the day, log on to the Fairways of Life YouTube channel. You can do accordingly. The FedEx Cup champion with this victory wins the FedEx Cup for the first time, entering the Tour Championship at number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings for the 3rd consecutive year. Held the lead in the FedEx Cup standings for the final 25 weeks of the season, which is incredible. Longest streak at number 1 in the FedEx Cup to end the season. 5th player in 6 instances to enter the Tour Championship, number 1 in FedEx Cup standings, go on to win the FedEx Cup in the first since Patrick Cantlay did it in 21. 50th career week at number 1 in the FedEx Cup. That's the 2nd most time. Most weeks at number 1 in FedEx Cup standings since the inception of the FedEx Cup in 2007. You got it. It's Tiger at 85. Then Scottie at 50. Dustin Johnson at 49. Second wire-to-wire, the champion, no ties since the starting strokes format started in 2019, and first since Patrick Cantlay. He's the 84th player to win 13 or more times of the PGA Tour, and he's the first to accomplish that number since Jason Day won the 2023 CJ Cup at Byron Nelson. Tied for 72nd on the all-time PGA Tour wins list thus. Other active players on that mark of 13, Jason Day and Jordan Spieth. That's his 7th PGA Tour title this season. As we were getting ready before the show and I was reading through this, I was curious how many of you out there could name the 7 wins that he had this season. Ready for it? Here we go. The Tour Championship, the Travelers Championship, the Memorial Tournament presented by Workday, the RBC Heritage, the Masters, the Players Championship, and the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. He's the first player to win 7 or more times in a single season since Tiger Woods did it last in 2007. That's that graphic that we were showing you guys before, which just blows me away. All right, so all of this leads us to, what about Scottie Scheffler? What's his reaction? Aside from telling us that he is exhausted from the year that he just had, here he is immediately in the wake of his victory.
Yeah, feels really nice. Like you said, I've been leading the points list for a long time, and so to come in here with a lead is, it's nice to play the way that I did and be able to finish off the right way. I mean, I tried my best to just stay in the present this week, and I felt like I did a really good job of that. In terms of the lead, it's unusual playing this many rounds of a tournament with a lead, especially, a 7-shot lead after the first round is something that I will probably never have at any other tournament besides this one. So it's a bit of a different feeling. I feel like sometimes this tournament lasts longer than other tournaments. I don't know why, but it's just like I'm exhausted right now. There's really no other way around it. I'm just really, really tired. So if my answers are not very good, I'm blaming it on the exhaustion.
Scottie, what happened on that shot out of the bunker?
I shanked it.
Why did you shake it?
So there's the club, like there's the straight part of the face, and then over here is the hosel. And on that one specifically, I caught too much of that part of the face. And that's why I went to the right. So it's shaped kind of, a little curve. And then, so like if I hit the straight part, it's going to go that way,
no,
straight.
I get that.
And then if I hit this part, it's going to come, towards you. So that actual specific bunker shot, for some reason, I need to figure out why, but I shank it a lot more often than I should when I'm on a side slope like that. Thinking about on the next shot, not really, just because it's a bunker. It's a totally different shot. If I had shanked a wedge from the middle of the fairway, I'm sure it maybe would have crept in. Like, I remember I had a shank at the President's Cup a couple years ago, and over my next iron shot, you can definitely feel, the toe of the club kind of flipping over to make sure it beats the heel there, so the ball doesn't, so I don't shank it again. But this one specifically, since it was a bunker shot, no, I didn't really kind of go into the rest of the game. But if it was a normal wedge shot from the middle of the fairway, then yeah, I think probably would have been a bit more challenging to overcome. I mean, if you can describe it in words, more power to you, because I don't think I can. It's been a long year. It's been a very fun year. I think emotionally right now I'm pretty drained. So I'm looking forward to going home and getting rest for a week or so before I start prepping for the President's Cup, because that's a tournament that I really, really want us to go out there and win. And so, I really don't know how to put it into words. It's been a very eventful year, but it's been a lot of fun. You have the really just the one weird spot there at Valhalla, which I just don't really know what to say about it. But everything else has been pretty special. I mean, in terms of freshness, I'd say probably the one after number 8. I mean, you're really challenging me right now, having to look in the past. I don't really have the brain power. I'll probably have to get back to you on that one, but just because it's fresh in my mind, probably the one he gave me walking off number 8 tee. But really, Teddy gives me good speeches all the time. I mean, that's why he's such a great caddy. I mean, I don't think there's a day goes by that he's not giving me some pretty decent advice or giving me a good laugh when I need it. He really is, my biggest asset out there on the course, and he's a huge part of the team. Yeah, it's great. Still don't understand why the Olympics doesn't count. It's a bit weird to me. I think that's part of the greed that goes on in your brains. As you say 7, I'm kind of like, well, no, I won 8. I won the Olympics in the middle of the year, and for some reason it doesn't count as an official PGA Tour win. It counts the same as, no offense to the Hero, but it counts the same as the Hero World Challenge in the grand scheme of things. But overall, I mean, it's been a great year. I'm proud of the results. It's something I try not to focus too much on, but at the end of the day, being able to win tournaments is a great feeling, and it's what we work towards, and to be able to have as many wins as I have this year is really special. Yeah, if I'm going to be honest with myself, yeah, I definitely did. I've been the player of the year for the tour the last 2 years, and I haven't left with this trophy, and so it definitely, I think, leaves a bad taste in your mouth at the end of the year, especially when I start with the lead. Granted, it's not a huge lead, but you're starting the tournament ahead of people. Like, you should win the tournament if I'm starting ahead of people. That's how I feel. And so maybe the last couple of years I put too much pressure on myself to perform or whatever it is. But this year I did a good job of just staying in it mentally and keeping my head down, and just had a really good week and was able to finish it off the right way. I think so. I think last week was a good kind of relearning experience for me to just keep my head on straight. Last week my attitude was not great, and that's the thing that's been my greatest strength this year, has been my attitude. And my whole team reminded me of that after the week, and I was like, listen guys, I know I was not in a great mood last week, wasn't in a good place, and so this week really my goal to start the week was just to have the right attitude and use what I feel like is my best strength, and that's my mind. And that's what Teddy reminded me of at the beginning of the week, and that was really just the thing that I focused on the most, was just staying in it mentally, and it paid off.
All right, so he was saying his greatest strength, which is interesting, because I love when we get a chance to hear from great champions, is my attitude. Think about it. Final round, almost out of bounds at the 7th, ends up with a bogey. Shanks it out of the bunker at 8, ends up with a bogey. His lead goes down to 2. Then he rips off 3 straight birdies. As to the money I was telling you about, this is the release from the PGA Tour. Official money, $29,228,357, most in PGA Tour history. Set the record for the most official money in each of the last 3 seasons, totaling over $64 million. Back to this year, FedEx Cup bonus money, $25 million. Comcast Business Tour Top 10 bonus money, $8 million. Official money and bonus money in 2024, once more, $62,228,357.